This is about a journey to the centre, a journey into myth, a journey into Irish myth. Now, it seems to me that there's a couple of reasons to go on a journey. And one of them is because there's something to be discovered, that there's something exciting out there, that there's some possibility, some unknown world to be explored. But another is the feeling that the ground on which you're standing is somehow not as firm as it once was or it might be. And this is reminds me of the Yeats poem, The Second Coming, which is that things fall apart, the centre cannot hold, mere anarchy is loosed upon the world. And for many people, that's what things today actually feel like, kind of personally and collectively, a feeling that the bridge that they're standing on is a burning bridge or a very unstable bridge. And in that case, perhaps there's no choice really. You have to head off. You have to head off on a journey. So whatever the reason, what we're talking about is a journey into the unknown, a journey to the centre. When on a journey, particularly a journey into the unknown, it's kind of handy to have some guides and helpers. And in this particular case, what is proposed is that the guide on the journey is the stories of medieval Ireland. And in making this suggestion, in a way, it's a recapturing of an ancient, timeless tradition of oral storytelling that actually was and is as alive in Ireland as it is anywhere in the world. And in this process of listening to stories, listening to oral stories, what is evident fairly soon is that the listener to the story hears the story, even though it's about some past and some distant time. The listener hears it in terms of the now, in terms of today. And what we learn from anthropologists studying oral storytelling is that a story is always heard in terms of today. What we also are working with is a particular body of stories. These are the stories of medieval Ireland, and they're part of a vast, diverse literary tradition, which is quite unique in terms of its extent and its scope in Western Europe. One of the reasons for this is that Ireland came to writing late, some 1,000 years later than much of the rest of Western Europe. But there's another important reason, which is that the Roman armies who spread throughout much of Europe wiped out the indigenous oral vernacular traditions. But the Roman armies never got to Ireland. And so the fact that they didn't, and the fact that oral storytelling was alive through a kind of tradition of bards and the filly, it meant that when the monks arrived in the 5th and 6th century and set up their monasteries, they started to record, because they had writing, they started to record pretty faithfully the oral tradition that they found in the country. Now, there's some argument between the scholars as to the extent to which it is an oral tradition or whether it's a written tradition, but there's a lot of evidence that this is a recording of a fairly faithful recording of a rich oral tradition that, as one scholar put, is somewhat of a miracle that we have it today, and that in having it, it stayed with us for some 1,500 years. For 1,400 years, these stories were an existing, vibrant part of the Irish tradition. And in reconnecting to them, we're reconnecting to a timeless wisdom of the people on our journey to the center. These stories are our guide. So, what might be the reward? Whether we've started because of the sense of excitement, or we feel we're on a burning bridge, what might be in it for us to journey into the unknown? Well, one reason goes right back to the core of what is inherent in these Irish myths. And one very significant distinction is in Hebrew myth, when the Jews have their encounter with the divine on Mount Sinai, it's a thunder god. Yahweh comes down and in many ways terrifies the people, and what they get is tablets of stone and commandments and a lot of things they should do. Whereas the Irish encounter with the divine is a very different thing. It's the voyage of Bran out in the ocean, and who he encounters is more a sea god. It's Manannán mac Lir, and the gift of Manannán to Bran is not a tablets of stone. It's silver branch, which you can see as a way of seeing the world. There's something gentler, more subtle about that, somehow more empowering in a way, because what it's about is perceiving. And that's exactly what is one of the rewards for being on a journey like this, is that underneath the surface of all the noise and all the stories and all the bombardment and all the stuff that's going on, it's an ability to see beneath the surface, to see the patterns, the structures, the meanings. What is on offer here, in a way, is a way of seeing the world, silver branch perception. And it's in acquiring that way of seeing deeply that it's somehow possible, indeed probable, that exactly what the voyager needs becomes evident, because they see things differently. Silver branch perception, that's the reward. Well, what can you do if anything that you've heard so far makes sense? Well, one of the things that you can do is make a commitment to yourself to go on a journey. And what we've laid out by way of a starting set of options is 4 pathways. And we've divided them into 2. We have the way of wisdom and we have the way of action. And the way of action has within it 2 possibilities. There's the way of the hero, the journey of the hero, and there's the journey of the warrior. And both are about action. The way of wisdom is a different one, and it's more reflective, and it's also has a reflection in action, reflection on action. And there are 2 pathways there, and that is the pathway or journey of the lover and the journey of the sage. And again, what we've put together is certain steps on the journey. that will involve listening and immersing and reflecting and discussing. And at the end of the day, what it's all about is an individual and collective journey to the center. What you might like to do is sign up. And what we'll do when you sign up is guide you. But in a way, it's the stories that are guiding you. And working on your own or with other people, you can jump into the stories and immerse yourself and reflect on it and discuss it and see what emerges in what's essentially acting, doing things in the world. So, if you want, begin and commit and sign up to one of the 4 journeys: the way of wisdom, the way of action, the journey of the hero, the journey of the warrior, the journey of the lover, the journey of the sage. Make a choice. Sign up and get going.